So the specific question there would be, what are the major end markets for molded PFA and FEP? I know that you talked about some of the major end markets before, but it's okay for us to recap those and then go into further detail.
Yeah, so I'll say broadly the pharmaceutical industry, which would I always divide the pharma industry into two pieces. One is the research side, where they'd be using products in the lab. I know Savalex has a number of products targeted at that space. It tends to be very niche again. And then the other major piece is the production piece, where they're using the products in their production process. So I know that PTFE and PFA tube and hosing is used in the industry. Obviously, bottles we've talked about are used in the pharmaceutical industry, and so that's a big market. We could talk for a long time about that market because it's on the pharmaceutical production. Well, I'll stop there and maybe we hold that for another time, because that's knowing what you're trying to do. Spending a bit more time and maybe I can read the confidential memorandum first as well. But the pharma production space is fairly concentrated in that, you got 10 companies that are really the big ones in that space. Now they have multiple locations around the world, and they're difficult to penetrate. And so, that would be something, I'd want to understand kind of what Savalex's position is in there now. And then we can talk about how to do that. Other big market is the semiconductor space. There's a lot of the sheet stocks used there. There's a lot of tubing used there. There's a lot of fittings and other types of products, valves and things that are used there. And that's a big market as well. There's, one company in particular that I think is very strong in that space called Entegris with an E. So Entegris. And then, other companies that are strong in that space will have some niche offerings. So again, Swagelok and Parker, I know, have machined either fittings or valves in Teflon and PFA or PTFE that they sell when their metal products won't work. So those would be the big markets. I think that this is something that I don't know, although I've worked in the aerospace industry recently. That was one of our end markets in my last company. Teflon has not, or fluoropolymers have not been widely adopted there because of the weight issue. They're very sensitive about weight on aircraft. So that is it hasn't been as widely used there. The temperature and flame, that's another benefit actually for Teflon, is it doesn't burn. And that's another big reason that the semiconductor companies like to use it, because they have these rules in clean rooms that sort of tangent, but while it pops in my head, that drive their insurance costs. That if they have under a certain amount of material that's flammable, they get a reduced rate on their insurance. So they're looking at that. In any event, it's the semiconductor market's a big market. Specialty chemical is another market. Either it's packaging, but primarily it's packaging. What we did with this corrosion